Hey everyone, I'm John Steele, and this is After 4, a podcast for InterVarsity alumni. Life after college is hard, and even a great experience with your InterVarsity chapter doesn't shield you from the challenges of transition. As we hear stories from real alumni learning how to make it in their post-InterVarsity reality, my hope is that this podcast will offer some encouragement, a few laughs, and even some hope for the future. This is After 4, and these are your stories.
Well, I'll do a quick sidebar. I was parent on point. It's 7:20. The bus is coming. My 5-year-old has chosen this moment to lock herself in the bathroom and throw a tantrum.
Great.
And if I don't get her on the bus, I'm going to miss my class downtown 9 o'clock. So everything's hanging on my getting her out the door. The bus is leaving in 2 minutes, and your default in a moment like that is to, shout, knock the door down. And you know that's not going to work. And she'll be in therapy for weeks after something like that. So that's not going to work. So what to do? So you mentioned hostage negotiating. I instantly became a hostage negotiator, and he's shouting and yelling. And I say, "You're upset, sweet pea. You're angry. You don't want to be forced to go out when you don't want to. You don't want to have to wear that book bag so quickly." And slowly you could actually feel the anger starting.
Wow.
And then about 90 seconds after the door slammed, it flies open. She starts laughing. She leaps into my arms. I laugh her through the door, out the door, to the bus, onto the bus, bye, sweet pea, and race to the subway. And I made it to class on time. And who knew? Hostage negotiation for tots. And your questions can open them up a little bit. Well, that's very interesting. How comfortable are you with this view? Or, what's your confidence level? Or tell me, here's where I'm a little confused. I read this, and that seems to be different from what I'm hearing you say. How do you make sense of those things? That sort of thing. And you're not trying to trick them. You're just trying to, almost like a child, ask simple questions and learn and go further. Now, it may very well be, you could be talking to somebody who believes in the flat earth theory. There's actually legitimate ways to do paraphrase probe with somebody who believes in the flat earth theory. First, you can say back what they're saying. Then you can truly affirm them, because you could say, look, I really appreciate that you don't want to just rely on some authority telling you. You genuinely want evidence, and that's the true spirit of science. And I really appreciate that, and I share it. And you've actually raised a very good question. I don't know why, if the Earth spins at 1,000 miles an hour, we don't feel that, but we do feel a carousel spinning at 5 miles an hour. That's a really good question. I want to learn more about that. And here's where I'm puzzled. And what did I just do? I just truthfully validated my friend, but I'm not buying his argument. I'm just engaging with it, and then I can ask questions, and then at some point I can share my own views, because I've earned that. And I can say, well, let me tell you where I'm seeing some concerns here. It strikes me that the flat earth theory has these problems with it, and I'm a little concerned that it may be undermining or reflecting a general loss of faith in science. And I'm seeing people who are rejecting some very important ideas and scientific theories in the same way. And that's why I want to be very careful about this. And what have you just done? You've shared your own view, but you've done it in a context where you've shown that you are respectful and loving. And in that context, you can't, and they go, well, I never looked at it that way before. And that's often what the students report, is that once they've built that foundation, they can talk. Several years ago now, I was with with a family member who I love dearly, and who I think he would certainly acknowledge, and his family would acknowledge very strongly, is very animated when it comes to politics. You see the wrong name, say the wrong issue, and he'll just start going.
Yes.
So we usually try to avoid politics, but one Christmas we were all together, as we often were, and we all decided to caravan to a weekend house, the whole extended family. And so here we are. I'll call him Steve. Steve is driving in his car. I'm sitting next to him, and we're 2 hour. It's a 2-hour trip ahead, and from the back seat, first minute of the trip, Steve's son, I'll call him Jay, said, "Uncle Seth, what do you think of this issue?" And he asked me about the most explosive issue of the day. I can't remember what it was, abortion, gay rights, global warming. I can't remember what it was, but it was a big one. And Steve is driving and he looks at me and he goes, yeah, what do you think about that? And
No.
I am literally locked in a steel cage with Steve for the next 2 hours. And he wants me to talk about an explosive issue. What's going to happen? Well, at the end of the drive, he gets out, he runs into the house where all the other family have assembled. And he goes, I just had the best conversation with Seth. It was great. We talked about everything. We went deep. We went wide. I never get to have conversations like this with people. I wish we could have more. And
wow.
I said, is that you?
Are you a pod?
Yeah. So again, it's not me. It's this process. And that's the energy that can be released.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us today, alumni. If there was anything that you learned, really enjoyed, or that encouraged you from today's episode, would you send us a DM or tag us in a story? We'd love to hear about it. You can find us at After4Pod on Instagram and Facebook. And if you haven't already, take just a second to unlock your phone and subscribe to the podcast. If your platform lets you, leave us a rating and a review. And if you like what we're doing here, share us with your InterVarsity or other post-graduation friends. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you in the after, alumni.